I'm excited to be back for today's editing episode, which is on this image from the downtown connector in Atlanta, Georgia. There's something special about this image, and that it's the first time that you all are seeing a brand new image from my new camera, the Sony Alpha 1. So throughout this year, you all will see more content about that camera. But until that time, let's just get right into today's editing. The look that I happen to be going for this image is something that has a more warm tone to it. As this image was taken at sunset time, I want to take advantage of that to where I'm sort of focusing on the warmer color palette. You know, my orange, my reds, and my yellows. So the first thing that I want to do is increase the white balance more towards the warm side of the spectrum. So we'll go about in the 6,000 range. That's pretty good. There we go. We'll take out a little bit of the purple tint. We'll go more towards our green side of our tint. And then next we'll increase our exposure. I'm going to increase it to about there, about 0.5 is pretty good. Next, I'm going to bring down my highlights. Now I know it looks like I'm making the image significantly darker, but it's all in the system. That's all it is. It's going to come together. I promise you that. So next I'm going to increase my shadows, and we're not going to increase them that much here. And then we're also going to do the same for our whites. That looks pretty good there. And then for our blacks, we'll decrease this. That's where we'll get a little bit of our contrast. So as you can see, we're really getting that contrasty look that's a signature to my style. So just to kind of show you how the Sony Alpha 1 in combination with my ZEISS lenses, for this particular photo, I was using the Loxia 35mm f2 lens. Look at the detail that we have here. Isn't that amazing? Great camera, great lens, just amazing detail that we have in our photo. And we're zoomed in at 100%. So let's go into 200%. Look at the detail that we have here. Very, very detailed image. Very fun camera this has been so far. And I can't wait to show more of this camera throughout the year. So in moving forward with our adjustments, we're going to increase our textures and our clarity. So we'll add about 20 or so in texture, and then about 30 for our clarity. And then we'll run a little bit of dehaze here. That looks pretty good. Next, for my vibrancy, we want to add a little bit, just a smidge, to really get those rich colors that we have. Bring them out just ever so slightly more. But we already had great colors to begin with, but we just want to exaggerate that a little bit more. And then the same thing for our saturation. So we're going to increase that quite a bit. So it's a little bit different from my usual style. I know a lot of you are used to seeing more muted colors, more darker tones, but it's springtime. We're going in a different direction. We want to have a lively, vibrant image. So next we'll come down to our tone curve, and I'm going to edit my point curve, and we'll use one of my presets. Here we'll use my skyline curve strong, and then we'll go back over here to the parametric curve, and we're going to adjust these here. And then we'll also increase our shadows and our dark levels here as well. We'll go up about 12 here. For our shadows, we're going to take that all the way up. That looks good. That looks really good. So next is where we're really going to start putting things together, which are with our hue, saturation, and luminance. So remember when I said at the beginning of this that my focus is my red, my orange, and my yellows. So those are really going to be what we're focused on the most here. Now, the first thing that I want to do is make my reds not so red here. We'll go a little bit more towards the orange. Now for our orange, we'll actually take it a little bit more towards the red. And that looks pretty good. That looks good. For our yellows, we'll bring that more to our orange level. And that looks good. And then for my green in this photo, I actually want to take out the green and go more towards yellow. That looks good. Okay, so everything else we're pretty much going to keep that the same. In terms of our saturation, we're really going to increase some of our reds, quite a bit of our orange, quite a bit of the yellow. Now for our green, we're actually going to take out a little bit of the green. And then for our blue, we're going to take out a little bit of that as well. That looks good. And then for our purple and magenta, we're going to increase those. Magenta, bring that up. That looks good. So to bring a little bit more light into specific colors, we're going to increase our luminance. Going to do that again for our red, orange, and yellow. Go about 40s for all three of these colors. Looks good. Awesome. And we'll do that a little bit for our green here. We'll do that for our blue. And then we'll bring down the purple. Okay, that looks good. So next we're going to go to what has become my new favorite, which is the color grading tool. Really, really love this. So we're not going to adjust all 4 of these options. We're going to leave the shadows as they are on their default settings. And we're just going to focus on our midtones and our highlights and then our global adjustment. So for my midtones, I want to go to a more warmer look. So we'll bring our hue more into our red yellows here. And we'll also increase the saturation for that quite a bit. That looks good. That looks really good. And then we'll also increase the luminance for this. Love it. Love it. Looking great. Next, we'll do the same for our highlights. Bring it into the warm tones there. We'll bring up our saturation. And we'll also increase the luminance. Looks good. And then for our global adjustment, going to do the same thing. Gonna come in more towards our warm colors there. But we're not adding as much saturation. And then for our luminance here, we'll actually take away a little bit. And then I'm going to come back over here. And for our blending, we're just going to come down to 40 on our blending. Now for my sharpening. Now, as you can see, this photo is just perfectly sharp as is. But again, I'm addicted to sharpness. It's like a signature of mine. So I just do it anyways. I don't know why. I don't know why. So we're going to increase it. We're going to go about 70. And then we'll mask about 25% there. That looks good. Next, we'll do our lens correction. We'll select our ZEISS. And there's our Loxia Biogon there. And for once, I'm not going to take off the vignetting. We're actually going to keep that. So next, we're going to come to our effects. And I am going to add a little post-crop vignetting here. And we'll do about 30. Bring our midpoint all the way down. And then we're going to bring our roundness all the way over to 100. We're going to bring our feather over to about 80. And increase our highlight all the way over as well. And that looks pretty good there. So then next, what I want to do is come back up to where my radial filter is. And we're going to kind of bring back a little bit over here in these buildings. Just these buildings here. And I just want to increase the shadows. Just add a little shadow detail there. And so what I'm going to do is right click on the middle of this and duplicate. And we're going to drag this to this side. And maybe open it up a little bit. Okay. It looks pretty good there. And do we want to do anything further? Let's maybe take off a little bit of the vignette. Let's maybe bring out the midpoint a bit. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe take out some of the amount of our post crop. Yeah, there we go. Doesn't have to be as dark. We don't necessarily have to have it as dark. That looks pretty good. I think that looks fine. And there you go. First new edit in a while. I know it's been a while, but it's been a busy first part of the year. But before I left for out of town, I wanted to at least get something out for you guys. So here's a new photo taken from the new Sony Alpha 1, shot with the ZEISS Loxia 35mm f2 lens. And I think that's a very nice edit. and just look at how beautiful this lens and camera combination just brought out these results. Look at how detailed this image is. So that's all that there is. Hopefully this tutorial was something that was useful for you. Try out some of these settings. If there's something that you might have seen that you might not have ever utilized here in Lightroom, try it for your photos and see how they come out. And of course, tweak things. You don't have to follow everything that I've shown to you exactly. Play with the settings, see how they work for your specific photos. So until next time, I will see you all in the next video.